What is going on, guys? So today I'm going to answer a question and show you guys how much a rucksack weighs whenever you're doing a ruck march and what actually goes in it, as well as what do you carry during a ruck march. The reason I'm wearing a uniform right now is because I want to make this weigh-in as accurate as possible. A question I get a lot is how much does a rucksack weigh, right? So this question usually comes up when in one of my videos I talk about a ruck march and doing this and that and the other. And usually when I talk about that, people ask, they're curious, how much does a rucksack weigh? Well, when you're doing a ruck march, the rucksack is supposed to weigh 35 pounds. That is generally the Army's standard for a recorded or monitored ruck march, right? So if you're out in the field, if you're doing an FTX, and you're doing certain things, you're just walking around and the purpose for what you're doing is not a ruck march, the rucksack could weigh a lot more or it could even weigh less. But when you're going out and the objective is to do a 4-mile ruck march, the objective is to do an 8-mile, 10-mile, 12-mile ruck march, the standard is 99% of the time going to be a 35-pound ruck minimum. Your rucksack has to weigh at least 35 pounds. It can weigh more though. So what you're going to do is you'll generally actually end up having about 36 pounds in your rucksack because you'll have to weigh it in, kind of similar to how I'm doing now, even though the scale that I will be using will be, it's one of those digital scales, so it's fairly accurate or so, but you will have to weigh in your rucksack to ensure that it is at least 35 pounds. So usually in order to do that, you kind of pack around about 36 pounds or so. That is how much a rucksack weighs, right? But a big part of your ruck march is not just going to be the rucksack, okay? So if you're going out for a walk right now, and that's kind of what I'm going to demonstrate with my initial weigh-in. If you're going out for a walk right now and you want to walk, 10, 12 miles, it's not really going to be that bad. You're going to be wearing nice shoes, you're going to be having shorts, you're going to have, exercise shirt on or whatever, and you're going to weigh your normal body weight that you normally do when you walk around. If you decide to do a ruck march, normally as a civilian, if you're trying to prepare, you're gonna do a ruck march, you're gonna put on a 35-pound ruck, and that's good. But the thing about ruck marches in the military is you're not only carrying that 35-pound ruck, you're also going to be carrying a lot of extra weight. Number one, you're gonna be wearing a uniform with some freaking heavy boots. When you're at basic training, these boots weigh a good bit. They're gonna be 2-3 pounds or so. When I know whenever I put this uniform on, it's gonna be 5 pounds extra than whenever I'm just wearing normal clothes. So that's kind of a big deal in and of itself. So let's see how much I weigh right now if I just put on some normal clothes, and then we'll weigh that, and then I will add on some weight into the rucksack. I'll put some stuff in there, and then I will then wear my uniform, see how much that weight is. Once I put on the rucksack, it should be 35 pounds more than that, so that's how I'm gonna do this. So whatever I weigh with my uniform on, add 35 pounds to that. That's kind of how I'm gonna get this 35-pound weight for the rucksack. So I weigh 180 pounds without any equipment on, just normal, my day-to-day, what I would wear if I was gonna go exercise, right? Then now I'm gonna put on my uniform, and I weigh 184.4 pounds with my uniform on. So my rucksack, with my rucksack on, I should be weighing around about 219 to 220 pounds. All right, so I put on my rucksack and I now weigh 220 pounds with that rucksack on. But that's not it, guys. That is not all you're going to be carrying for your ruck march. First of all, you're gonna have to carry your flick. So your flick is gonna be your fighting load carrier. That is going to be where you're gonna be carrying your canteens on either side. You're gonna have your magazines and stuff right here. The magazine pouches, I don't have any magazines that I can put in here, and you might not actually take that on a ruck march, so I'm not including that in this whole weigh-in, but they're only going to be a couple ounces more. And then also I have the red lens flashlight. I remember that's something that we carried during the ruck march whenever I was at basic training, so I'm including that here. So with all that equipment on, I'm definitely going to be weighing a whole lot more than normal because I'm going to be wearing my Kevlar, I'm going to be wearing my flick, and then on top of that, right guys, there's more than that. On top of that, you're going to have to bring some water with you. You got to drink some water or else you're going to, basically pass out from a heat stroke or, be a heat casualty, right? So you need to carry water. And now water is not a part of the 35 pounds. So when you're weighing your rucksack, you are going to have a camelback on there. You're probably going to have your canteens full of water, and so that's going to add some extra weight, right? So you might only need one canteen. Preferably, I actually like drinking out of my canteens, but you can, you know, use your camelback, strap it on the back of your rucksack, and that's going to add an extra 5 or 6 pounds or so to your actual weight. But that doesn't count towards the weight of the rucksack, because number one, the weight is going to dissipate over time, but it will dissipate a lot slower, so the ruck is going to weigh a lot more. So if you include the rucksack, my uniform, my flick, my Kevlar, and the water that I'm going to be carrying, I'm going to be weighing around about 236 pounds, right? So that's going to be 56 more pounds than what I weigh normally if I was just going to go out for a walk. But there's one more thing that we haven't talked about, and that is the weapon. Right here, I have my Ruger AR-556. It is a weapon that is really similar in weight, size, form factor, functionality, everything to the M4, which is what you guys are more than likely going to be using at basic training. So the reason I got this weapon is because it is so similar to the M4, so I'm adding that in here as the weapon that you're going to be carrying, because you got to keep in mind, when you're doing these ruck marches, you're going to be carrying a weapon, and that is going to add some weight, right? So your biceps might be a little bit tired if you're not used to carrying things, and you're going to be carrying this sucker around just like this, right? You're gonna be holding it like this for, you know, 10, 12 miles, however long you're doing your ruck march, but you're gonna be carrying it like this for the entire time. So that's gonna add an overall weight to how much you're going to weigh. So with everything combined that you're going to be carrying for a ruck march, for me, I weighed 244 pounds with everything combined. That means I weighed 64 pounds extra than what I normally do. So a rucksack, the rucksack itself only weighed 35 pounds. But normally, whenever I'm walking, doing about whatever the heck I'm doing, I'm gonna weigh 180 pounds versus 244 pounds on a ruck march. So that just shows you how things are gonna be a little bit more difficult than you might think. You might think, oh, 35 pounds is really not that heavy. But if you really want to prepare for this, like if you have a rucksack at home and you're wanting to like prepare for the ruck marches at basic training, you know, don't throw on like that 65 pounds, because that might be a little bit heavy just to start. But if you want to do some ruck marches with, you know, 35 pounds and then up it to 45 pounds and then up it to 55 pounds for the actual rucksack weight, and then just wear, you know, normal clothes and some boots or whatever, then that will be perfectly fine. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about how much a rucksack weighs and what you actually will be carrying with you when you're going. And now I want to cut to a clip that I recorded just a little while ago with what I actually put in the rucksack and some things that you might normally see in a rucksack that you're going to carry, and hopefully this can give you guys a little bit of a good idea of how much stuff you can actually pack in the rucksack. Now keep in mind, whenever I did put the stuff in this rucksack, I didn't really pay too much attention to where I was, you know, putting everything, because during a ruck march, when you're doing a 12-mile ruck march, you want to make sure, number one, you have all the heavy stuff to the top, the light stuff is at the bottom, and you want to compress it as tightly as possible. I did compress it a good bit. I did put the heavy stuff on the top, I guess from a habit or whatever, but you know, you can compress things a whole lot by putting your entire body weight on it, you know, wringing the straps back and stuff. So keep that in mind for any of you like veterans and guys stuff watching this. You might be like, oh, you can make a ruck smaller than that. It's possible, but yeah, it's kind of pointless for the purposes of this video. Okay, so what we have in the rucksack and everything I was carrying is all laid out right here. So this is gonna be where I can show you guys exactly kind of what you can expect to have in your rucksack. So I tried to put pretty common things that you're going to see in a rucksack. It'll vary depending on whether or not you're coming from FTX or you're just loading up whatever the heck you want, as long as you can meet the weight. But of course, we have the rucksack right here. This is the rucksack, it's empty. I packed in a PT uniform, PT belt. This is my ACU bottom and top. I packed up a couple of extra pairs of socks. I've got an extra pair of winter boots. Then right here is the poncho. I have the full camelback right there. Then right here I have an empty assault pack. Right there is the wet weather top. So like that's also like the wet weather top for the winter. So if it's really cold and it's rainy, then you'll wear that. Right there is the sleeping bag or the sleeping system. I packed an MRE, a notebook and stuff, so my cadet handbook over there, and another notebook to write stuff down on. My AR-15, which is basically like an M4. It pretty much weighs the same, so I carried that. And then the assault, or the flick right here, the fighting load carrier. I just have some empty magazine pouches, the canteen with the water in the canteen, the flashlight right here. Here's the Kevlar, and that looks like it is about it. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that you would expect. Some things may be changed out. It literally just depends. Like, it's going to change for the most part every time you do a ruck march, but that's kind of how much stuff you can fit and what you're gonna carry in total when you're doing a ruck march. The only other thing that I didn't mention is these gloves right here. I was carrying those in my pocket. Sometimes you might actually have to wear those, but during the ruck march, you can usually just take them off and put them in your pocket. So I was carrying the gloves in my pocket. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope I answered your questions on how much does a rucksack weigh, how much do you carry during a ruck march, and then kind of what you can expect to see in your rucksack whenever you're doing a ruck march, and some of the things that you're gonna carry in there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more videos of mine, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, the comment section is down below. You can also follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. Links are in the description. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys later.